Tonight, we begin with a surprisingly complex and occasionally dangerous world of medieval apothecaries. Those mysterious figures who stood between life and death with nothing but herbs, prayers, and questionable remedies that somehow managed to heal or kill with equal efficiency. Before we ease into this journey together, take a moment to appreciate that you're about to discover a profession that combines medicine, magic, and the constant risk of being accused of witchcraft, all while trying to cure people who believed bathing was unhealthy and that demons caused toothaches. The life of a medieval apothecary began before dawn, not with coffee or modern conveniences, but with the careful grinding of herbs by candlelight, the sorting of mysterious powders, and the preparation of remedies that would either save lives or send souls to their maker by sunset. Your shop was part laboratory, part temple, and part confession booth, where desperate people arrived clutching coins and prayers, seeking cures for everything from simple headaches to the dreaded plague that could wipe out entire villages in a matter of weeks. The morning routine started with checking your supplies, ensuring that your precious stores of imported spices, rare minerals, and carefully dried herbs remained untainted by moisture or theft. Losing your stock meant losing your livelihood and possibly your life. You'd examine your scales, those delicate instruments that could mean the difference between healing and poisoning. Because in a world where the line between medicine and toxin was measured in grains of powder, precision wasn't just important, it was survival. The first customers would arrive as the sun crested the horizon. Often servants sent by wealthy households to purchase remedies for their masters, or desperate mothers carrying sick children, their eyes reflecting the kind of fear that comes from watching loved ones suffer without modern medical intervention. Each prescription required careful consideration, not just of the ailment, but of the patient's social status, their ability to pay, and the political implications of success or failure, because curing a nobleman could bring wealth and protection, while failing to heal him could result in accusations of intentional poisoning. Your knowledge came from ancient texts, many copied by hand from Greek and Roman sources, combined with folk wisdom passed down through generations of healers, creating a medical tradition that blended scholarly learning with practical experience gained through trial and error. The preparation of remedies was both art and science, requiring you to boil, distill, grind, and mix ingredients according to recipes that often seemed more like magical incantations than medical formulas, complete with specific timing, moon phases, and mystical correspondences. You'd work with materials that would terrify modern pharmacists: mercury for treating syphilis, arsenic for skin conditions, and lead compounds for various ailments, all while having no understanding of their toxic effects. Only the empirical knowledge of what seemed to work. The apothecary's day was filled with consultations that resembled a combination of medical examination and spiritual counseling, as patients believed their illnesses could be caused by everything from bad air and evil humors to curses and divine punishment for their sins. You'd examine urine samples, not under microscopes, but by color, smell, and taste. Yes, taste, using your own senses to diagnose conditions in a process that was surprisingly accurate given the limitations of medieval medical knowledge. The afternoon brought the more complex cases, the wealthy patients who could afford elaborate treatments involving multiple ingredients, bloodletting and purging, procedures that often left them weaker but somehow convinced that they were being properly cared for. Your shop served as an informal gathering place where people shared news, gossip, and medical advice, creating a social hub where information about remedies, diseases, and cures circulated alongside the latest political developments and local scandals. The preparation of theriac, that legendary cure-all containing dozens of ingredients, including viper's flesh, was a major event that could take days to complete, requiring careful coordination of suppliers, precise timing, and the kind of showmanship that convinced customers they were receiving something truly magical. You'd maintain careful relationships with herb gatherers, traveling merchants, and monastery gardens, because your reputation depended on having access to the finest and most exotic ingredients, many of which had to be imported from distant lands at considerable expense and risk. The evening hours were spent updating your records, grinding fresh powders, and preparing tinctures that needed to steep overnight. Work that continued long after other shopkeepers had closed their doors and retired to their homes. Your knowledge of poisons was as extensive as your knowledge of cures, a dangerous duality that made you valuable to those who needed discreet solutions to political problems, while simultaneously making you a target for suspicion whenever important people died unexpectedly. The apothecary's relationship with the church was complex and delicate, requiring you to balance medical practice with religious orthodoxy, ensuring that your treatments didn't conflict with church teachings about suffering, divine will, and the proper order of life and death. You'd often work with barber surgeons, midwives, and other healers, creating an informal medical network that shared knowledge, referred patients, and sometimes competed for the same clientele. Relationships that could mean the difference between prosperity and poverty. The seasonal nature of your work meant periods of intense activity during plague outbreaks or epidemic diseases, followed by quieter times when you could focus on preparing stock, studying texts, and developing new formulations for chronic conditions. Your shop was arranged with careful attention to both function and presentation, with impressive displays of exotic ingredients, mysterious apparatus, and scholarly books designed to inspire confidence in customers who needed to believe in your expertise and competence. The training of apprentices was a crucial part of your daily routine, passing on knowledge that couldn't be found in books. The subtle skills of observation, its preparation, and patient interaction that separated successful apothecaries from dangerous quacks. You'd maintain detailed records of successful treatments, failed remedies, and patient outcomes, creating a personal medical database that helped you refine your practice and avoid repeating dangerous mistakes. Knowledge that was both professionally valuable and legally protective. The apothecary's work extended beyond simple healing to include the preparation of perfumes, cosmetics, and household remedies, diversifying your income and establishing relationships with customers who might need more serious medical attention in the future. Your reputation spread through word of mouth, creating a network of trust that could extend across entire regions, bringing patients from distant towns and villages who had heard stories of your successful treatments and miraculous cures. The constant threat of accusation, whether for malpractice, witchcraft, or political conspiracy, hung over every apothecary's career, requiring careful navigation of social relationships, religious sensibilities, and political loyalties to maintain both livelihood and personal safety. And so, the medieval apothecary lived balanced on the knife's edge between healer and suspect, between science and superstition, between life and death, using knowledge passed down through centuries to fight diseases that could kill entire communities. Armed with nothing but herbs, prayers, and the desperate hope that tomorrow's remedies might work better than today's failures. The morning is also a time for reflection, for the apothecary to consider the day ahead. Customers will soon arrive, each with their own ailments and expectations, some reasonable, others bordering on the fantastical. A merchant might seek a potion to cure his insomnia, a farmer's wife a salve for a child's fever, a nobleman a concoction to restore his vigor. The apothecary must navigate these demands with care, balancing the needs of the body with the beliefs of the mind. For in this era, illness is as much a spiritual affliction as a physical one. The church looms large, its teachings shaping how people understand their suffering. The apothecary must tread carefully to avoid accusations of heresy or witchcraft. The shop itself is a microcosm of the medieval world. It's a place where the practical meets the mystical, the apothecary's desk is cluttered with tools and ingredients, but it is also adorned with small tokens of faith across, a charm, a prayer scratched into a piece of vellum. These are not mere decorations, but necessities for the apothecaries. Work is as much about reassuring the soul as healing the body. As the first customers approach, their footsteps echoing on the cobblestones outside, the apothecary takes a final moment to breathe, to steady their nerves, and to prepare for the delicate dance of trust and expertise that defines their profession. With the shop now open, the apothecary's day shifts from preparation to interaction. As customers begin to trickle in, each bringing their own story of suffering. Diagnosis in the medieval world is a curious blend of observation, intuition, and tradition, rooted in a framework that modern minds might find both fascinating and bewildering. The apothecary stands behind a worn wooden counter, listening intently as a customer describes their symptoms: a persistent cough, burning fever, a pain that moves like a shadow across the body. These descriptions are often vague, colored by fear or superstition, and the apothecary must parse them with care, piecing together clues like a scholar deciphering a fragmented manuscript. The primary tool of diagnosis is not a stethoscope or thermometer, but the apothecary's own senses. Urine, for instance, is a cornerstone of medieval diagnostics. It's examined not through microscopes, but through sight, smell, and diastist. The apothecary holds a flask of urine to the light, noting its color pale for weakness, cloudy for infection, sniffing for unusual odors, and, in some cases, tasting it to detect sweetness, a sign of what we now call diabetes or bitterness, a hint of liver trouble. This practice, known as uroscopy, is both art and science, requiring a keen eye and a stomach hardened by years of experience. The apothecary's customers watch in awe, mistaking this ritual for a kind of magic, when in truth, it is one of the few reliable methods available in a world without advanced diagnostics beyond urine. The apothecary observes the patient's appearance, the pallor of their skin, the brightness of their eyes, the rhythm of their breath. Pulse-taking is less common, but not unknown, with the apothecary pressing fingers to the wrist or neck, counting beats while silently noting their strength or irregularity. These observations are interpreted through the lens of humoral theory. The dominant medical framework of the time holds that the body is governed by four humors: blood, phlegm, yellow bile, and black bile. An imbalance in these humors is believed to cause illness, and the apothecary's task is to identify which humor is out of alignment, to prescribe a remedy to restore balance. This process is complicated by the patients themselves, who often attribute their ailments to supernatural causes. A headache might be blamed on a neighbor's curse, a fever on the wrath of God, a rash on the influence of a malevolent star. The apothecary must navigate these beliefs with diplomacy, offering remedies that align with both medical knowledge and the patient's worldview. A potion might be presented as a counter to evil spirits, even if its true purpose is to reduce inflammation or induce sleep. The apothecary's ability to blend science with reassurance is crucial, for trust is the currency of their trade. Consultations are rarely private. The shop is a public space where villagers gather, exchanging gossip and advice while waiting their turn. The apothecary listens to these conversations, gleaning additional context about a patient's condition, perhaps a recent outbreak of fever in a nearby village, or a spoiled batch of grain that might explain a sudden wave of stomach complaints. This informal network of information is as valuable as any medical text, providing clues that no single patient could offer. The diagnosis itself is only the beginning, okay? Once the apothecary determines the likely cause of an ailment, they must decide on a treatment, a process fraught with uncertainty. The wrong remedy could worsen the condition or invite accusations of incompetence or worse, malice. Yet, the apothecary proceeds, drawing on a mental catalog of recipes and remedies. Each tailored to the patient's symptoms, status, and ability to pay. The act of diagnosis, then, is not just a medical task, but a performance, a delicate balance of knowledge, intuition, and showmanship that sets the stage for the healing to come. With the diagnosis made, the apothecary turns to the heart of their craft, the preparation of remedies. This is where the shop transforms into a laboratory, a place where raw materials, minerals, animal parts are transformed into medicines that might save a life, or, at the very least, offer hope. The process is meticulous, governed by recipes that read like spells, with instructions to boil, steep, or distill under specific conditions, sometimes tied to the phases of the moon or the position of the stars. The apothecary's workspace is a study in controlled chaos. A fire burns low in the hearth, lamps bubble with strange liquids, and the air is thick with a mingled scents of sage, vinegar, and molten wax. The ingredients themselves are a testament to the apothecary's ingenuity and the era's limited understanding of pharmacology. Common herbs like mint, fennel, and yarrow are staples, used for everything from digestive complaints to wound care. But the apothecary also works with more exotic materials: saffron from the East, frankincense from Arabia, and the powdered horn of a narwhal, believed to neutralize poisons. These ingredients are not cheap, and their acquisition requires a network of merchants, travelers, and monastery gardens. Each transaction a gamble that the goods will arrive unspoiled and on time. The preparation of a remedy begins with measurement, a task that demands precision in an age without standardized units. The apothecary uses a set of brass weights, each engraved with cryptic symbols, to measure out grains of powder or drops of liquid. A single mistake could turn a healing salve into a deadly poison, and the apothecary's reputation rests on their ability to get it right. Some remedies are simpler tea of chamomile to calm nerves, but others are complex, requiring hours of labor theriac. The legendary curol might contain dozens of ingredients, from viper's flesh to opium, and its preparation is a public spectacle, drawing crowds who marvel at the apothecary's skill and the promise of a universal antidote. The process is not without danger. Many ingredients are toxic: mercury, arsenic, and lead are common in treatments for syphilis, skin conditions, and even toothaches. The apothecary, unaware of their long-term effects, relies on empirical results. If a patient improves, the remedy is deemed effective, regardless of the cost to their health years later. The apothecary's own health is also at risk, as constant exposure to fumes, dust, and volatile substances takes a toll. Yet, the work continues, driven by necessity and the faint hope that each new batch might bring a breakthrough. The final product is packaged with care, often in small clay pots or linen sachets, accompanied by instructions that blend medical advice with ritual. The patient might be told to take a potion at dawn, facing east, or to apply a salve while reciting a prayer. These instructions are not mere superstition. They are a way to ensure compliance and to reinforce the apothecary's authority. As the remedy is handed over, the apothecary watches the customer's face, searching for signs of trust or skepticism, knowing that their livelihood depends on a belief that their work can heal. The apothecary's shop is more than a place of healing. It is a social hub, a gathering place where the community converges to share news, seek advice, and exchange remedies. By mid-morning, the shop is bustling, its narrow space filled with the hum of voices and the clink of coins. Villagers linger near the counter, discussing everything from the weather to the latest outbreak of fever in a neighboring town. The apothecary, while busy with their work, listens closely. For this, chatter is a vital source of information, revealing patterns of illness, local scandals, the shifting tides of politics and religion. Customers come from all walks of life, farmers seeking cures for sick livestock, merchants hoping to ease their gout, quit, and priests inquiring about incense for church rituals. Each brings their own expectations, shaped by a worldview that sees no clear line between medicine and magic. The apothecary must be a chameleon, adapting their language and demeanor to suit the audience, a learned scholar for the clergy, a practical healer for the peasant, a discreet confidant for the noble. This social dexterity is as critical as their medical knowledge, for a misstep could alienate a customer or invite suspicion. The shop's atmosphere is shaped by its design, carefully curated to inspire confidence. Shelves are lined with impressive displays of exotic ingredients, dried scorpions, glittering crystals, and roots twisted into strange shapes. A large book, its pages filled with cryptic symbols, sits prominently on the counter, even if the apothecary rarely consults it during the day. These props are not mere decoration. They are tools of persuasion, convincing customers that they are in the presence of someone with arcane knowledge and divine favor. Interactions in the shop are rarely straightforward. A customer might ask for a remedy, but hint at deeper concerns. Failing marriage, a feud with the neighbor, a fear of divine punishment. The apothecary becomes a counselor, offering not just medicine, but reassurance, weaving their remedies into the patient's beliefs about the world. A potion might be described as a gift from God, a salve as a shield against evil spirits. This blending of the practical and the mystical is not deception, but necessity, for in a world where illness is a mystery, hope is as powerful as any herb. The shop also serves as a marketplace for knowledge, where the apothecary learns as much as they teach. A traveler might describe a new remedy from a distant land. A midwife might share a technique for easing childbirth. A farmer might warn of a plant that sickened his cattle. The apothecary absorbs these fragments, adding them to their repertoire, testing them against their own experience. This exchange is the lifeblood of medieval medicine, collective effort to understand the body in an age without science as we know it. As the day wears on, the shop's role as a social hub becomes even more apparent. Neighbors linger to gossip. Apprentices listen eagerly to their master's conversations. And the apothecary navigates this web of relationships with care, knowing that their reputation depends not just on their remedies, but on their ability to connect, to listen, and to be seen as a pillar of the community. No apothecary works alone. Their ability to heal depends on a complex network of suppliers, colleagues, and informants, each playing a crucial role in the flow of ingredients, knowledge, and patience. The apothecary's day is punctuated by interactions with this network, from the herb gatherers who arrive with baskets of freshly picked plants to the merchants who bring spices and minerals from distant ports. These relationships are fragile, built on trust and mutual dependence, and the apothecary must maintain them with care, for a single disruption could cripple their practice. Herb gatherers are the apothecary's lifeline, providing the raw materials that form the basis of most remedies. These men and women, often from the lower rungs of society, roam forest and fields, collecting plants like nettle, comfrey, and mandrake, according to the apothecary's specifications. Their knowledge of local flora is invaluable, but their reliability is not guaranteed, and the apothecary must inspect each delivery for quality, rejecting any herbs that are wilted, misidentified, or harvested at the wrong time of year. Merchants, meanwhile, bring the exotic ingredients that set the apothecary apart from common healers. Saffron, cinnamon, and myrrh arrive in small, precious quantities, their cost reflecting the dangers of trade routes plagued by bandits and storms. The apothecary negotiates carefully, balancing the need for quality with the limits of their purse, knowing that a single shipment of spoiled goods could ruin them. These transactions often take place in the shop, with the merchant's tales of distant lands adding to the mystique of the apothecary's craft. Monastery gardens are another vital source. They are monks and nuns cultivating rare herbs and preserving ancient texts that the apothecary might borrow or copy. These relationships require diplomacy, as the church views the apothecary's work with both interest and suspicion. A gift of incense or a donation to the monastery might secure access to a rare plant or a manuscript. The apothecary must ensure their practices align with religious doctrine to avoid accusations of heresy. Colleagues, surgeons, midwives, and other apothecaries form an informal medical network, sharing patients and knowledge. A barber surgeon might refer a patient for a salve after a bloodletting, while a midwife might seek a potion to ease labor pains. These collaborations are mutually beneficial but fraught with competition, as each practitioner vies for prestige and clientele. The apothecary must navigate these relationships with tact, offering help when needed, but guarding their own secrets closely. This network extends beyond the immediate community, with the apothecary's reputation spreading through word of mouth to distant towns. A successful cure might bring a nobleman from a neighboring region, while a failure could tarnish the apothecary's name for years. Maintaining this network requires constant effort, from writing letters to suppliers to hosting visiting healers. Each interaction, a thread in the delicate web that sustains the apothecary's livelihood. Among the apothecary's many remedies, none is more legendary or more laborious than theriac, the so-called universal antidote. Preparation is a spectacle, a multi-day process that draws crowds and reinforces the apothecary's status as a master of their craft. Kyriac is not just a medicine, but a symbol, concoction so complex and costly that only the most skilled and well-connected apothecaries dare attempt it. Its creation is a high point of the apothecary's ear, a ritual that blends science, showmanship, and the touch of the divine. The recipe for theriac varies, but it typically includes dozens of ingredients: vipers, flesh, opium, honey, wine, and a dizzying array of herbs and spices. Some versions call for up to 70 components, each chosen for its supposed ability to counter poison, cure disease, or ward off evil. The apothecary begins by sourcing these ingredients, a task that might take months and involve negotiations with merchants from as far away as Constantinople or Alexandria. The cost is staggering, but the potential rewards, both financial and reputational, are worth the risk. Preparation begins with soaking and grinding the ingredients, a process that requires precision and stamina. The apothecary works over a low fire, stirring mixtures that simmer for hours, their fumes filling the shop with a heady, almost otherworldly aroma. Timing is critical. Some components must be added at specific intervals, others under particular astrological conditions. The apothecary consults almanacs, noting the position of the moon or the alignment of planets, blending their empirical knowledge with the heiress belief in cosmic influences. The process is public, with customers and curious onlookers gathering to watch. The apothecary plays to the crowd, explaining each step in a way that emphasizes the remedy's power and their own expertise. This performance is as much a part of theriac's value as its ingredients, for it convinces customers that they're purchasing something extraordinary. A single dose of theriac, sold in tiny vials, can fetch a price equivalent to a month's wages for a laborer, making it a luxury reserved for the wealthy or the desperate. The apothecary's apprentices play a key role, fetching ingredients, tending the fire, and learning the delicate balance of science and spectacle. For them, assisting in the creation of theriac is a rite of passage, a chance to witness the pinnacle of their master's craft. The finished product is stored in ornate containers, its dark, syrupy consistency a testament to the hours of labor invested in its creation. Theriac's reputation as a cure-all is both its strength and its weakness. While some patients swear by its effects, others see it as a costly gamble, its efficacy as much a matter of faith as of pharmacology. For the apothecary, theriac is a calculated risk, a way to demonstrate their skill and attract high-paying clients, even as they navigate the skepticism of those who question its miraculous claims. The life of a medieval apothecary is not without peril. Every day brings risks, from the physical dangers of handling toxic substances to the social and legal threats of practicing medicine in a suspicious age. The apothecary shop for all. Its promise of healing is a place where mistakes can have deadly consequences and success can invite envy or accusation. The apothecary must navigate these dangers with care, knowing that their livelihood and sometimes their life hangs. In the balance, the most immediate danger comes from the materials themselves. Mercury, used to treat syphilis, can cause tremors and madness in those who handle it too often. Arsenic, a common ingredient in skin salves, leaves a residue that lingers on the apothecary's hands, slowly poisoning them over years of exposure. Lead, mixed into remedies for everything from toothaches to diarrhea, is equally insidious, its effects invisible until it is too late. The apothecary, unaware of these long-term risks, works in a haze of fumes and dust, their health eroding, even as they seek to preserve the health of others. The preparation process itself is fraught with hazard. Distilling liquids over an open flame can lead to fires, especially in a shop crowded with flammable herbs and oils. Spills and splashes are common, and a single drop of a potent tincture on the skin can cause burns or dizziness. The apothecary learns to move with caution, their hands steady despite the constant threat of accident. Beyond the physical dangers, the apothecary faces social and legal risks. A failed remedy can lead to accusations of incompetence or, worse, deliberate poisoning. In an age when illness is often seen as divine punishment, a patient's death can spark rumors of witchcraft, especially if the apothecary is a woman or an outsider. The Church, ever vigilant for signs of heresy, watches closely, and a single misstep, prescribing a remedy deemed too magical or failing to honor religious rituals, can lead to investigation or exile. The apothecary's knowledge of poisons necessary for creating certain remedies is a double-edged sword. While it makes them valuable to those seeking discreet solutions to political problems, it also makes them a target for suspicion. A nobleman's sudden death, even from natural causes, might be blamed on the apothecary who supplied his medicine, leading to imprisonment or worse. To protect themselves, the apothecary keeps meticulous records, noting every ingredient and dosage, defense against accusations that might arise years later. The apothecary's relationships with customers are another source of danger. A disgruntled patient, a jealous rival, or a zealous priest can spread rumors that undermine the apothecary's reputation, cutting off their income and inviting scrutiny. The apothecary must be a diplomat, soothing tempers and building alliances, all while maintaining the appearance of unimpeachable expertise. These dangers, ever present, are accepted as part of the trade. The apothecary perseveres, driven by a mix of duty, curiosity, and the faint hope that their work might make a difference in a world where life is fragile and death ever present. The relationship between the apothecary and the Church is a delicate dance, a balancing act between science and faith in a world where the two are inextricably linked. The Church is the dominant force in medieval life, shaping how people understand illness, healing, and the natural world. For the apothecary, navigating this relationship is essential, for while their work is rooted in practical knowledge, it must also align with religious doctrine to avoid suspicion or condemnation. The Church views illness as a manifestation of divine will, a punishment for sin, or a test of faith. This belief shapes how patients approach the apothecary, seeking not just physical relief, but spiritual reassurance. The apothecary must frame their remedies in a way that complements these beliefs, presenting their work as an extension of God's mercy rather than a challenge to it. A potion might be described as a gift from the divine. Acute, its ingredients blessed by the earth's bounty. Cute, even if the apothecary privately relies on empirical results rather than miracles. This alignment with the church extends to the apothecaries' daily practices. Many begin their day with a prayer invoking divine guidance for their work. The shop might contain religious symbols, a crucifix, statue of a saint, a vial of holy water displayed prominently to reassure customers and visiting clergy. These are not mere decorations, but a form of protection, signaling the apothecaries' orthodoxy in an age when deviation could lead to accusations of heresy. The church also serves as a source of knowledge and resources. Monasteries, with their extensive libraries and gardens, are repositories of medical texts and rare herbs. And the apothecary cultivates relationships with monks and nuns to gain access to these treasures. A donation to the church or a gift of incense might secure a copy of a Greek medical text or a cutting from a monastery's herb garden. Resources that elevate the apothecary's practice above that of their rivals. Yet, the church's influence is a double-edged sword. Clergy often viewed the apothecary's work with suspicion, particularly when it involves exotic ingredients or rituals that resemble magic. The preparation of theriac, with its complex recipes and astrological timing, can raise eyebrows, as can the use of charms or incantations to accompany a remedy. The apothecary must be careful to present these practices as pious rather than pagan. Emphasizing their alignment with Christian teachings. The apothecary's role in treating the clergy themselves adds another layer of complexity. A successful cure for a bishop or abbot can bring favor and protection, but a failure can invite divine wrath, or at least the wrath of the church's earthly representatives. The apothecary must balance their medical judgment with deference to religious authority, prescribing treatments that respect the church's teachings while addressing the patient's needs. This delicate relationship shapes every aspect of the apothecary's work, from the way they speak to customers to the ingredients they choose. By aligning their practice with the church, the apothecary secures their place in the community. But they must remain ever vigilant, knowing that a single misstep could unravel the fragile trust they have built. The apothecary's shop is not just a place of healing, but a school where the next generation of healers is trained. Apprentices, often young boys or girls from the community, are the apothecary's assistants, students, and eventual successors, learning the craft through years of observation, practice, and discipline. The training of an apprentice is a cornerstone of the apothecary's work, responsibility that ensures the survival of their knowledge in an age when books are rare and literacy is limited. An apprentice's day begins early, often before the apothecary themselves rises. Their first tasks are menial: sweeping the shop, tending the fire, fetching water from the well. And these chores are not mere labor, but lessons in humility and precision, teaching the apprentice to value the small details that underpin the apothecary's craft. A spilled bucket of water or a poorly cleaned mortar can ruin a remedy, and the apprentice learns quickly that carelessness has consequences as they progress. Apprentices are entrusted with more complex tasks, sorting herbs, measuring ingredients, and assisting in the preparation of simple remedies. The apothecary watches closely, correcting mistakes and imparting wisdom that cannot be found in texts. The apprentice learns to distinguish between similar-looking plants, to gauge the weight of a powder by feel, to recognize the subtle changes in a mixture's color or smell that signal success or failure. These skills are honed through repetition. The apothecary's patient guidance, shaping the apprentice's hands and mind. The apothecary's book of recipes is a central part of the apprentice's education, though it is often written in a shorthand or code that only the master can fully decipher. The apprentice learns to read these texts, memorizing recipes and their variations. But they also learn the unwritten knowledge that the apothecary has accumulated through years of practice. This includes the art of dealing with customers, the nuances of diagnosis, and the delicate balance of science and superstition that defines the apothecary's role. The training is not without tension. Apprentices are often eager, curious, and prone to mistakes, testing the apothecary's patience. A spilled vial or a mismeasured ingredient can lead to a sharp rebuke. But the apothecary knows that these errors are part of the learning process. Over time, the apprentice becomes an extension of the apothecary, capable of running the shop in their absence or assisting in complex procedures like the preparation of theriac. The relationship between apothecary and apprentice is one of mutual dependence. The apprentice relies on the master for knowledge and opportunity, while the apothecary relies on the apprentice for labor and eventually the continuation of their legacy. For many apprentices, the years spent in the shop are a path to independence, a chance to become an apothecary in their own right. For the apothecary, the training of an apprentice is a way to ensure that their hard-earned knowledge will not die with them, a small but vital contribution to the fragile chain of medical tradition. In an age before computers or standardized medical charts, the apothecary's records are their lifelines, a detailed account of their practice that serves as both a professional tool and a legal safeguard. These records, often kept in a thick, leather-bound book, are a chronicle of the apothecary's work. Every patient, every remedy, every success, and every failure. The act of record-keeping is a ritual in itself, performed in the quiet hours of evening when the shop is closed and the day's chaos has subsided. The apothecary's book is more than a ledger. It is a repository of knowledge, a place where recipes, observations, and outcomes are meticulously documented. Each entry begins with the patient's name, status, and symptoms, followed by the diagnosis and the remedy prescribed. The apothecary notes the ingredients used, their quantities, and the method of preparation, along with any special instructions given to the patient. The outcome is recorded with equal care, whether the patient recovered, worsened, or died, providing a record that the apothecary can consult to refine their practice. These records are written in a mix of Latin, the language of scholarship, and the local vernacular, reflecting the apothecary's dual role as a learned practitioner and a community healer. The handwriting is neat, but hurried. The pages crowded with notes, corrections, and marginalia that reveal the apothecary's evolving understanding of their craft. A successful remedy might be marked with a small star, a warning about a failed one underlined in red ink. The records serve multiple purposes. They are a tool for learning, allowing the apothecary to track patterns and improve their treatments. A series of patients with similar symptoms might reveal a new disease spreading through the region, prompting the apothecary to adjust their remedies or stockpile specific herbs. The records also protect the apothecary from accusations of malpractice or poisoning, providing evidence of their methods and intentions in a world quick to assign blame. Maintaining these records is a labor-intensive task, often done by candlelight after a long day. The apothecary writes with a quill, dipping it into ink that stains their fingers, their thoughts interrupted by the need to trim the pen or blot the page. The book itself is a precious object, stored in a locked chest to protect it from theft or damage. In some cases, the apothecary shares their records with colleagues, contributing to a shared body of knowledge that advances the practice of medicine. However slowly, the act of record-keeping is a reminder of the apothecary's place in history, a small but significant effort to preserve their knowledge for future generations. As they write, the apothecary is not just documenting their work, but contributing to a tradition that stretches back to antiquity. A fragile thread of learning that persists despite the chaos of the medieval world. While the apothecary is best known for healing, their work extends beyond medicine to include the preparation of perfumes, cosmetics, and household remedies. These products, though less critical than cures for fever or plague, are a vital part of the apothecary's trade, diversifying their income and strengthening their ties to the community. The creation of these items is a craft in itself, blending the apothecary's knowledge of herbs and oils with an eye for beauty and luxury. Perfumes are among the most popular of these products, prized by the wealthy for their ability to mask odors in a world where bathing is rare and sanitation poor. The apothecary creates these scents by distilling flower petals, herbs, and spices in alcohol or oil, producing fragrances that range from the delicate sweetness of rosewater to the heady richness of ambergris. The process is similar to that of making medicines, requiring careful measurement and timing, but it also demands an artistic touch, a sense of what will delight the senses and impress the customer. Cosmetics, too, are in high demand, particularly among noble women and courtiers. The apothecary prepares creams to whiten the skin, powders to add color to the cheeks, and salves to soften the hands. These products often contain dangerous ingredients: light for whitening, mercury for clarity, whose risks are unknown to both the apothecary and their customers. The apothecary must balance efficacy with safety, creating products that enhance beauty without causing obvious harm, all while navigating the church's disapproval of vanity. Household remedies round out the apothecary's offerings, from insect repellent sachets to candles infused with soothing herbs. These products are more affordable than medicines, appealing to a broader range of customers and ensuring a steady income during quieter times. A farmer might buy a salve to protect his hands from the cold, a housewife a tincture to keep moths from her wool. These small transactions build loyalty, encouraging customers to return when they need more serious medical attention. The preparation of these products is a chance for the apothecary to showcase their versatility, blending the practical with the luxurious. The shop becomes a place of wonder, its shelves lined with vials of shimmering oils and pots of fragrant creams, each promising a touch of beauty or comfort in a harsh world. These offerings also strengthen the apothecary's social role, making them a trusted figure not just in times of illness, but in the everyday lives of their community. As the day draws to a close, the apothecary reflects on their place in the world, a healer standing at the crossroads of science, faith, and superstition. Their work is not just a profession, but a calling, a commitment to easing suffering in an age when life is fragile and knowledge limited. The apothecary's legacy is not measured in wealth or fame, but in the lives they touch, the knowledge they preserve, and the fragile hope they offer to a world often shrouded in darkness. The apothecary's shop, with its cluttered shelves and flickering candles, is a microcosm of the medieval world, a place where the practical and the mystical converge. Here, the apothecary labors day after day, grinding herbs, mixing remedies, and listening to the stories of those who seek their help. Each patient is a reminder of the stakes of their work, a chance to make a difference, however small. In a world where death is never far away, the apothecary's knowledge, passed down through generations, is a precious inheritance, a blend of ancient texts, folk wisdom, and hard-won experience. They are not just healers, but scholars, preserving the medical traditions of Greece, Rome, and the Arab world, while adapting them to the needs of their time. Their records, their apprentices, and their relationships with colleagues ensure that this knowledge will endure, even as the world around them changes. The risks of the trade poisonous ingredients, accusations of witchcraft, the ever-present threat of failure are outweighed by the rewards, a patient's gratitude, a community's trust, the quiet satisfaction of a remedy well made. The apothecary's life is one of balance, navigating the demands of science, faith, society with a skill that is as much art as it is medicine. As night falls, the apothecary locks the shop, the day's work done but never truly finished. Tomorrow will bring new patients, new challenges, and new opportunities to refine their craft. In their quiet moments, they might wonder about the future, about the remedies yet to be discovered, the diseases yet to be understood. For now, though, they rest, knowing that their work, however imperfect, is a light in the darkness, a small but vital contribution to the endless human struggle to survive and thrive. And so, as you drift towards sleep, imagine the apothecary at their workbench, surrounded by the tools of their trade, their hands stained with ink and herbs, their mind filled with the weight of centuries of knowledge. Their story is one of persistence, of hope, of the quiet determination to heal, one patient at a time, in a world that is as beautiful as it is unforgiving.